Well, here is the K7000 from the previous video where we had the was shipped to us in the box with no protection, and they included the original voltage regulator that they removed, and we'll show you the carnage from that in a moment. But they didn't send the insulator. The insulator is missing. That's gone. And I had no hardware. The only thing in the box that was rattling around was one screw. They're missing both nuts and the other screw. So this is all I have that was in the box here. And amazingly, it appears to have survived not being protected except for a single casualty. I mentioned before that everything survived, but it turns out that the brightness pot, I expected all the pots to be busted, and actually none of them were except the brightness pot. And not because of the shipping, the way it was shipped, but mostly because of this corrosion. If we look here, you can see that it's the center post, the center contact there is busted, and that's just from the corrosion and moving it. So we'll have to change that out. But that's the only casualty out of this whole situation. Just very interesting. But they, what I was told, that the issue with this was it was very blurry, and you had to have the focus completely maxed out to get any kind of decent focus. And that's obviously a bad flyback. Whenever you have focus issues, assuming your focus pin's not bent on the tube, anytime you have focus problems, it's almost always a flyback, because there's a resistor internal to here that is in charge of mediating, if you will, the focus range. And if you have to have it maxed out one way or the other, that resistor is going bad. So ideally, you really want to have the focus about towards the middle of the adjustment, right about 50%. If you ever have to max it out one way or the other, it's time to change the flyback. So I think all that was really wrong with this was a flyback problem. It was working otherwise, and in trying to troubleshoot the bad focus problem, they kind of made things worse. So the first thing we're going to do is just take the flyback out and get it out of our way so we're not encumbered by its weight and everything. It's the original white knob flyback. And it's also cracked like almost every single one of these, but not bad. It's actually in pretty decent condition for what most of these are. It's cracked right here. You can see it's cracked across there, and it's cracked over here. But otherwise, it's not too bad. That's about the only thing wrong with it. So I'm not surprised it was still working, but I'm also not surprised it was losing focus, because these white knob flybacks are some of the, they last for a long time. But when they start to crack, they start to fail, and they fail spectacularly. So, or spectacularly. That's a hard word to say. I'm not sure what this extra ground wire here is for. It's running to the frame. I don't know if this is going to the tube or not, but we'll hook it back up for what they were using it for. The tube ground is actually on the neck right here. This is the DAG ground, so I don't know. What the heck? We got more jumpers and crazy things going on here. Yeah, well, here's a good example of some bad solder work here. I don't know what's going on here. I mean, it's connected and it's solid, but yikes. And it's jumping over to here for this trace. Why? I don't know, it looks intact to me. I don't know why that's there. Then there's this. I don't even think that's supposed to be somewhat. They've got the resistor jumpered. See this resistor here, R213? They've got a jumper across there basically zeroing out. Well, that's not supposed to be like that. Not supposed to be like that at all. Why is that like that? Well, we're going to take that off PDQ. Wow, okay. Not sure what's up with that. So, let's go ahead and get this flyback off of here. This is a nightmare here as well. Here's the carnage on the voltage regulator. I imagine this all happened when trying to remove it. I don't even know which. I imagine this is supposed to go over here. it's going to break off, but yeah, there it goes. And this one goes there, and that pad's missing completely. And we'll fix this. We'll get it fixed up, but yikes. Let's take this off of here, put it over here, and this appears to be intact, so we'll keep it, and we'll scrape this off and bridge over to it. So, and then we have this nightmare here. They got this jumper going to, I guess, here like this. And then this is for R96. This is R96 here. Now the problem I have is that this pad is completely missing, and this pad is completely missing. Now I don't know. Some of these 19-inch chassis have R96 populated. Other ones don't. I think it's the 1986 reversion versus the 1990 revision. I don't know if this had an R96. It's not detrimental to the operation of the chassis if you have R96 installed and it's not supposed to be, or vice versa. So I think we're going to go ahead and put an R96 in here because it looks like there might have been one previously. There's no reason at all why this would have been messed with if there was no R96 in here. I don't understand why this was even touched. If this had nothing there, why would they even mess with this? So it's possible this was in here. We'll put one back in. Like I say, it won't hurt it one way or the other if it's installed or not installed. We're going to put one in and see what happens. But yeah, we got to take care of this. We'll get that fixed up. And then it's going over to this. And yeah, that's not good. Okay, well, let's go ahead and just take this off of here. There we go. So that's gone. We'll fix the neck board later, but for now, oh, I forgot to mention, the caps that are on here are some kind of caps I never heard of. TPO? Never heard of them. So it's been capped. Someone has capped this chassis, but it's kind of a hodgepodge mishmash of different types. So I don't even know if this one has a brand on it. Oh, Samson? Sam? How do you even pronounce that? S-A-M-X-O-N? I don't even know how you pronounce it. So it's kind of a hodgepodge mishmash of off-brand caps. So we're going to do a cap kit with Nichicon and do all that properly. So we'll take care of that. And then we need to test the voltage regulator. Like I say, it was working fine. It just had focus problems, and they really kind of created more of a headache for themselves. But okay. Well, first things first, let's go ahead and remove this flyback so we can get it out of our way and make it easier for us to work on this chassis. Take our screw out here. Oh, and this is broken. The cover here, they just got it taped shut because I don't think they knew how to remove it, and it yeah, they broke the tab off the side of it, so it just falls off. This tab over here is busted. So I'll try and work some magic on this, get this to stay in place. But yeah, miraculously, the only casualty from that shipping is this brightness pot, which may or may not have been part of it. But so I figured I'd show you with the desoldering gun here in real time how I take these flybacks out. I've got my desoldering station set to 800 degrees Fahrenheit, as well as my iron. My iron and my desoldering gun here are both 800 degrees Fahrenheit. And I use, because the surface area is so small on the tip of the desoldering gun, I don't like to use this to heat up the pad. I heat up the pad with the actual iron and use this to suck up the solder. So if we just heat this up, you'll see that it liquefies pretty easily, and then we just, there you go. It works fantastically. That is a clear, open, look at that. It's perfect. So yeah. And I will link down below in the video the desoldering station and the iron that I'm using if you want to pick this up yourself. But this is how I recommend doing these. And if there's a lot of solder on these pads, I like to run the sucker here, the vacuum, for a little bit longer so the solder doesn't get stuck in the in here. Otherwise you'll be hating life, trust me. And then after it's done, you want to take your cleaner here, this little thing right there, and you put it in there and you clean out the inside of there. So we'll turn on the vacuum. And it's got a coarse end here that kind of cleans out like a pipe cleaner. A metal pipe cleaner is really basically what this is. There you go. Then I just leave it in there. So when I turn the station off, this will prevent any solder from forming that's still stuck in there into a harden up, and then prevent this from operating. Because if you get solder in there that is in a particular nook and cranny that doesn't heat up hot enough, this won't go in there, it won't operate, and you'll be hating life. So whenever I turn this off, I always just leave this in here and then put it back. That way I know it's not going to get clogged up on me after it cools down. So, all right. So that's all there is to it. And all these holes are nice and empty, and it should just pop right out. I may have to take this screw out first. Let's grab a real driver here. Sometimes you got to do this if this black plastic piece in here is that the screw goes into is still intact, because it's hard to rock this out without this being able to move a bit. So it should just come. It just broke. Speaking of the devil, it just fell apart. So I didn't need to take that out, but you know there you go. I mean, how easy is that? Here's that piece I was talking about. It just cracked right off, and that's what this screw goes into. So it tends to happen when people try and replace HOTs and they remove this and they don't take the screw out, they bust this piece off of here. You know, it sits on top here like this. So, all right, so let's go ahead and desolder our focus wire here. Well, someone, was doing some work to this, and they've got this all boogered up. Well, that came right off. And then our G2 wire is just a connection, and that should be it. Yes indeed, there we go. Flyback is out. So we will set that aside as well. Okay, now we can toss this junk out of the way. Get rid of this wrapped around ground wire that's doing something, I don't know what. We'll put it back when we leave, or when we send this back to the person. If I can remember to do so, I'll set that over there. And one more thing, the power wires here are supposed to go through this black retainer piece, and I think I used my last spare one. So we're going to see if we can try and zip tie these or something through this hole where the screw would go, so we can keep these the way that they're supposed to be, like that. Actually, I think it's more like this. It's more like that, but anyway, we'll try and get that figured out. So now we have a much easier chassis to deal with here. Let's go ahead and put our screw back in, because we're not going to need to have this out for the replacement. And one added benefit of taking the flyback out is now we can have much easier access to the caps that are behind it. There's a cap back in here that's really difficult to try and fit through here when you have the flyback installed. So yeah, this was working, it just had focus problems, and then they made the situation much worse on themselves. The fuse isn't blown or anything like that. So let's go ahead and just start testing components. We can begin with our voltage regulator that they sent. I'm gonna have to see if I can find another screw and some nuts to hold this in place. I've got the insulators, so that's not a problem. Oh, I got a message here. What did they say? Okay. Business related. Not important. Okay. All right, so let's check our voltage regulator. This particular type here, the STR3123, should test across pins 1 and 4 for our voltage drop. Okay, not that way, so it's not shorted. That's good. And there we go. We should have that's a good voltage regulator. Why they took it out? I have no idea. So that can go back in. Let's test our B plus resistor. Should be 200 ohms or something like that. I can never remember if it's 180 or 200 or 220, but let's see here. 200, okay, 203. And looks like no one's done any messing with that, so that's good. HOT appears to have been original and no one has touched it. It's not shorting. Okay, we'll go to here. Should have 0.5 voltage drop. 0.5 voltage drop. Okay, HOT is good. We can test our diodes and then our resistors, and that should be about it. Like I say, it was working, so nothing should be bad, but we'll test anyway. R104, it's been so long. R103 is what I think it is. Yeah, R103, sorry. R103, this tall white ceramic one here, should be 3 ohms, give or take. We go here. Yep, 3.3, so that's okay. We'll test D18. D18 is this little diode that's right in here on the in-between, or I guess this side of our C38 width cap, and our diode there. There's D18. D18, the negative goes this way, so we should have negative on this side, positive on this side. So if we go here, and we go diode checker, if we go negative here and positive here, D18 is good. Flip this back around. We didn't test our critical safety cap, but if our HOT doesn't reach short, the critical safety cap should be okay. So the critical safety cap are these 2 posts here and these 2 posts here. It's this big green C36 cap in there with the 4 legs. So it's 4 pads. It's 1, 2, and 3, 4. So you want to read this diagonally across. There's our voltage drop and voltage drop. So that's good. We're not shorted or open, and it reads across the HOT circuit. That's why you're reading that like that. So okay, let's just check and make sure our width cap C38 is not shorted. That is these 2 pads right here, and it is not shorted, so we're good there. And we'll test all the rest of this resistor. It's got smashed flat somehow for some reason. Let's try and see if we can bend that up a bit. A little better. Okay. All right. So we're looking for 15 ohms here on R104. That was 104. Okay, and then 3.9 on R98. Yep. We should have, I believe this should be 270 ohms on this one here. Yep, and then 1.8 for this one, R89. Yeah, 1.8. And then R101, I believe, should be around 5K ohm in circuit. 6.4, okay. Well, it's a 6.8K resistor. Sometimes you read 4.5, sometimes you read 5, sometimes you read 6.5. It depends on the revision of the chassis, but it's a 6.8K resistor, and we're reading 6.5 in circuit, so we're going to call that good. Let's check our rectifier diodes to make sure there wasn't anything going on with non-isolation transformer setup. So D19 is good, D20 is good, D22 is good, D23, D24. Okay, those are all good. Okay, well, everything seems to test all right, so let's go ahead and just start putting stuff back together. Let's go ahead and put our voltage regulator back in. I'm just trying to think. Nah, I'll do cap kit later, I guess. I think what I'll do is I'll get this, let me get this back together completely, repaired, fixed, ready for testing, and then we'll test it, make sure everything's hunky-dory, and then if that's good, we'll do the cap kit and then test it after that to make sure that if it looks better or worse or what we have. So, you know, it doesn't really matter. It's going to need a cap kit anyway, but I'm just curious to see what it looks like with these original caps in here. And again, it was working, so I think the only issue they had was a flyback problem, and they misdiagnosed it as something else. And let's just clean these up so we can get these in there. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way here. I got to turn my fan on here. Okay, now let's clean this up here. Okay, that's all. Well, this goes straight to here. This goes straight to here. So we can just simply bridge that. This is still intact, so we can do something with that. This we'll have to scrape away and bridge over to here. This here is going to be okay. So let's see if we can... I don't know if I want to use the pin for that or not. Okay, yeah, that'll work. Okay, so now we have that. So we can bridge that. That's connected still. There's our soldering position for this post. And then we can actually... am I going to be able to do this without ripping that off of there? Yeah, that might work. Okay. Well, alright, let's see if we can make this... Oh, I gotta find insulator. I got so much junk here. Bear with me, I gotta find my bag of K7000 stuff. Here it is. The question is it in that bag or not? Oh, nope. Hot dog. Here we go. Okay. I gotta take off. See, I got a whole bag of, let's zoom out here. I got a whole bag of different types of insulators, and I'm fairly certain that I've got the right one in here, so, yep, there we go. Got a bunch of them. Hot dog. For just this type of occasion. So if we take, well, it looks like I got a bunch. All right, we'll take one out. There we go. It's important when you do this stuff to make a big order of anything you might possibly ever need. That way you don't have to wait. Every time you need something, you've already got it. All right, so let's make sure this all lines up here. Yeah, fairly close. All right. So we need to get our insulator here. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and just get this through the holes first, which is always the difficult part. Where is it is. There we go, nice and easy. Now we'll put the insulator through there, get the screw through here, if I can. There we go. Awesome. Awesome. Now I just need one more screw and a couple of nuts here to put on there, and let's see if I can find some. I got a whole bunch of junk here. I may be able to just put these, screw these through here. I gotta lift up this insulator first here. This is always the fun part because the insulator doesn't like to stay in place. I'm going to use this. Oh, now the darn thing fell down completely. Gosh, darn it. Yeah, it's always fun trying to get this to go in there. This line. Oh, you bastard. Well, let's put this one in there first, I guess. Ideally, you would want to use heatsink compound or thermal paste to hold it in place, but I don't have any, and it's not completely necessary. Nope, that will not screw through there. Okay, well, let's go use that to hold that in place then. And where'd my other screw go? Oh, it's sitting right there. Sitting in the morning sun. I'll be sitting when the evening comes. Alright, now we have both screws through. So let's see if I can find something that I can use to attach that. Well, would you look at that? I have the exact correct type of nut right there. Now if it would just stay in there. I'm not sure how one screw made it and the other screw and the other nuts didn't make it, but that's how it goes. Now, do I have another one that will work? I could always just send it back to him with the one in there and he can put his own hardware back in, but that's not the way I do things here. It's not looking promising for the right hardware here. Well, this is the same size as the... Yeah, that's not gonna work. Well, it's not looking good, ladies and germs. I've got this, but this is the wrong size. Those are too shallow. I've got one here. Well, hey, will this work? This might work. If it's not too short, it's it's too short by about one thread. Oh, dang it. I've got a screw and a nut here, but it's too short by about a thread. Darn it. Will this fit any of these other ones? Nope. Dang it. Well, I'm going to cut away here while I look for something and I'll come right back. Okay, so going through my parts stash, I've got this 7400 here, and it happens to have exactly what I need. So we're going to steal this. And then something else in my travels, looking for this hardware I failed to notice the first time around, and I'll freely admit it, is that C62 is missing. This filter cap that goes across the AC input, you can see our power cord is here, and it follows this trace right across one leg of C32. I'm sorry, C62. The other leg here is our black. This is our hot. This is our neutral. The hot wire goes across the fuse and goes to this leg of C62. Neutral goes right across this leg of C62. Now it's just a filter. You can see that even without this installed, it carries on and goes through off to here, which goes off over to our rectifier circuit, as well as across the fuse over to here. So we still have AC going across our rectifier circuit, which would explain why it still powers up. But C62 is just another filter cap, for all intents and purposes a filter cap, but it's missing. And it looks like it has been desoldered out of here. I don't know why, so we're going to have to use a donor chassis, pardon me, to replace that part. So that's one more part that's missing. Or one more piece to the puzzle, if you will. Okay, so now we're going to be good on our voltage regulator. Let's get it secured in place here. Not too tight, just good. There we go. Now, all right, here comes the fun part. Let's get this fixed here. Should not be too difficult. Let's get a little solder on here and then hold it down. There we go. All right. There you go. Quick and easy on that. Let's do this one. Pretty good. Now for this one, we're going to have to, for these, we're going to have to bend the legs over a bit so we don't have to jump as far. Just like that. And then we will work some magic, like so. Okay, it doesn't look good. It's like a hot mess, but that is about the only way we're going to be able to do that and have it be somewhat reliable. All right, so there we have that. Now it's time to move on to our other problem area here. This is janky here. We'll fix that. But yeah, this is going to be fun. That runs. Got a frog in my throat all of a sudden. This runs down here to where they had it right there. Okay. And that, sorry, bear with me a moment. That goes to that resistor. Okay. All right, well, let's see what we can do about this. First thing I want to do is get it cleaned up a bit here. Well, the trace is still intact. For the moment, until I break it. here's the trace. And it's like it's twisted here. Or just how bad is it? Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, that trace is fine. You can see the trace is fine. Okay. Yeah, so let's go ahead and keep doing that here. And let's remove R101 out. Well, it's already out of there. If we look right, where are we at here? I lost you. Right there. That's the one leg of R101, and it comes right out. So that's this guy that always heats up right there. Okay, so let's fix that pad. Alright, I think that'll work. That's one big, and we can erase that plane here between them so we can solder to those. And then, you know, like I say, this chassis will run with or without an R96. And I don't know if there was one installed or not, but I think that it's possible that that there might not have been, because this could have got ripped up when this got ripped up. But it doesn't explain how this got ripped up. Why would there be solder here and damage and all this stuff if there was no R96? So I'm going to rob one, we're going to put it in, because like I say, it'll work with one in, or it's not detrimental to the operation. So we're going to have to figure out a way to bridge this, which we'll have to end up using a component leg or something, which isn't a problem. Okay, so we're prepped and ready. Let me see if I can glue that pad or this trace back down here. Dab will do you, as they say. My glue was hemorrhaging there. Okay, so let's grab this, push down on this a bit, and there you go. Quick and easy, works just fine. Okay, so let's fix this monstrosity here as well. Bing. Yikes. I don't know what's going on here. Alright, so that's off of there. Alright, get out of here, you stupid wire. Why are you here? Why are you in my way? Alright. Does that have continuity down? Did somebody mess that up? Did somebody mess that up? Nope, it's got continuity. It's 3 ohms. It shouldn't be 3 ohms in that small little... Oh, it's hot. Sorry, I forget. It's 1.8, 1.6, 7, 1.6. Okay, yeah, just hot. All right. So continuity there is good. See how this is the wrong type of solder. This is leaded solder. Well, see how this is not shiny? This is dull compared to this. See how shiny this is? If we go over here, it's rather dull. I think that's unleaded solder. Yeah, I think it's unleaded solder, and that's why it's dull like that. But don't quote me; I could be wrong. But it's not the normal type of solder. But it does work, so no big deal. So now we need to see if we can move that over. This is the other side of R101 here. Let's take that out of there, and let's clean off these legs. Because this gets very hot and oxidized, so we're gonna just take a second here and clean these legs off so they solder a bit better. Be nice if you could see what I'm doing. I think that'll work. Okay. All right. So if we set this back in here now, you don't want to go in. What in the hell is your problem, buddy? No problem, buddy. Try this again. Is it because you're bent? There we go. Okay. Now we're on the right track here. So what we need to do now, I guess we can... I don't have any way to kind of bend that over. I guess what we can do is we can add the jumper. I don't like putting that jumper in there, but I guess for this instance we should. It's about going to be our only option. I don't want to use that thin of leg, so let's see if we can grab one that's a bit beefier. Because a lot of power goes through there, and that little dinky jumper that was on there, that's not that good. And why is there a missing pad here? Someone removed this chip. That doesn't bode well for us. That's why I want to see if it even works before I go through the trouble of the cap kit. I want to see if it even works first. Alright, here we go. We'll use a couple of these off of this cap. Get that out of the way. And let's just tack this in place here. I can. There we go, and we will cut that one. then we'll take this one and see if we can tack it in place. And cut it. And we still have a cap that we can use. Alright, so now we need to do this here. Make sure our resistor is soldered to it. Yes, it is. I think that looks good. Now we can do this. That is good. We'll just hit the middle here for good measure. Okay, not beautiful, not perfect, but much better than what was on there before. So that's going to be about the only way we can fix that. So now, let's go ahead and just put solder on here to strengthen it. Fill that up. Solder that in place. Oh, really? Okay, there's no trace there. That's gonna have to work, and I think it will. Okay, now we just need to what what the hell? I just noticed that. I mean, that would work, but they've got this. For some reason I didn't notice it until just now. You may have been screaming at the camera, look at that, look at that. But R90, is it 89? I think it's R89. This guy here. Instead of going through the hole, they have it going through that upper hole. It's the same trace. It's the same trace here, but wow. We're gonna fix that. What is in that position? Oh, our other resistor here. Huh. Wow. Well, let's get that back in where it's supposed to go. Am I going to be able to do this here? There we are. Hey, all right. Okay, stay there, you rascal. Let's load this up here. All right. So that's all fixed now. We just need to get an R96 in there. Because I think there had to have been one there. That's what all this is about here. Why they would have left it out, I don't know. But looking at the rest of this, it all seems okay. We got everything tested. So let's get R96 in there. Let's get C62 in there. and it doesn't really need anything immediately reflowed from what I can see or tell. So we'll get 96 and C62, and then we'll get the fly back in and a new brightness pot. Let's go ahead and just take what? Huh. I'm noticing stuff as I go about. I'm noticing more and more things. Why is the 50-60 hertz pot jumpered? Has anybody seen that before? I have never seen this. The 50-60 hertz pot is jumpered. Why is that jumpered? I've never seen that before. So that'll be interesting to see what that causes. If we have linearity problems or not. Why? Huh. Never seen that before. So that's another... I'll leave that in there and we'll see if we have linearity issues. If we do, I'll go ahead and just put a pot in there. Why is that? Yeah. Contrast pot somebody has already replaced in the past. So let's just take this brightness pot out of here. If it'll let me. There we go. Yep, middle pin broken. There it is, right there. So we'll set that off to the side. I'll have to find or pull a brightness pot out of my kit. Alright, so I'm going to cut away here, find a brightness pot, find a C62, find an R96, and I'll come back and we'll get all that stuff put in. Alright, so we got our 2K ohm brightness pot, we have our C62 and our R96. So let's go ahead and get these puppies installed. And it's always fun trying to get this stuff to conform and line up, because these aren't the right style. These are for the remote board, not the main board. But you can alter this and they'll work just fine. Case in point. Okay. And we will, before we forget, we'll put this to the center position. And we'll get it soldered in here. We'll start with that one and we'll push it through. Alright. There we go. Now we have a new brightness pot. Doesn't look the same as the rest, but it'll function all the same. Now let's get our C62 in here. There we go. Alrighty. And last but not least, R96. This one may be tougher to get in there than I was. Oop, wrong way. Than I'm hoping. Harder to get in there than I'm hoping. Ugh, come on. Well, it's through there, but darn thing is fighting me. Let's spin it around the other way. Let's try it this way. There we go. That'll work. Okay, now that's in there. And we're going to have to see if we can fold this over like we did before. That'll work. Go right to the trace. There we go. That looks pretty good. Oh, sorry about that. Yep, that looks fairly good. And we'll have to do some jumpering over on this one. Again, let's grab a capacitor. And see if we can work some more magic here. I'm just grabbing caps from my big bag of extra caps here. It's just, you know, like I say, I've got this giant bag of miscellaneous caps from various things over the years, so we're just going to grab a cap out of here, and we're going to use a couple of the legs, and we will still be able to use the cap afterward. That one here, and then the other leg. Alright, we can still use the cap. Plenty. So let's feed this into here. Feed me, Seymour, feed me. Hold them in place there a bit. That should be okay. We'll hit this again. Well, there we go. I think that about does it for our repairs. So let's get a flyback installed, get that all hooked up. And I think we're ready to fire it up and see what it does. So let's grab. How many do I have? I got a boatload of K7000s. I have one. Ugh. Gonna have to order some more. I just placed a freaking order too. My last one. That's okay though. No big deal. And my personal preference is these little locking tabs here. I just break those off because you don't need them. It doesn't help you in any way, and they actually prevent you or make it more difficult to get this thing installed. It makes it a lot harder sometimes for this to sit in place. And for some reason, there's a boatload of solder on this stupid header pin here. There we go. Alright, so that's my personal preference. I just break those stupid locking tabs off of there. And I mentioned before how it's, with the flyback out, it's easier to get to these caps, but you can still get to them through the backside. So we'll just do that. I want to see if this works the way that it is. Is that solder keeping us from... No, there's no solder on those. These stupid wires in our way aren't making it easy. There you go, right in. now let's get this soldered up. You don't need a lot. You don't need to put a whole crap ton of solder in here. Just enough to where you have a nice shiny dome and it has good coverage is all you need. Alright, so there we have our flyback. Disregard the flux, we'll clean this up later. But that's installed, so I think our main board is ready to go. I didn't see anything else. All the other stuff we discovered, so I think we'll fire it up the way... Oh, you know what? We didn't double check the regulator after we installed it. Across pins 1 and 4, you'll see here that this connection right there and this connection right there, these two connections, actually no, I'm sorry, this one, this connection here and this connection here are the red and the blue wires that run over to our B+ resistor. So the easiest and quickest way you can test to make sure your voltage regulator is not shorted is to simply read across the B+ resistor while everything is in circuit. And if we read our 200 ohms, then we know our voltage regulator is not shorted. This doesn't tell you whether it's open or bad, but it will tell you if it's shorted. So if we go to here, we should have 200 ohms, and we do. So our voltage regulator, in theory, should be good. Okay, so now we need to get our focus wire. Focus wire, there's two wires coming off your flyback. One is a thick wire, one's a skinny wire. The thick wire is always your focus wire, and the skinny wire is always your G2 wire. So if we get this through here, and then fold it around on itself, there we go. Okay, focus wire is in, and let's put our connector back on. We're gonna have to, yeah, see it folds open, and someone opened it too far and broke the hinge. So just to keep it closed, we're going to do a little bit of solder welding here. A little trick of the trade. There you go. Now it'll stay closed. See, that's really, and you can always undo it, but now it's secure and solid and it will stay closed. So that's a little trick of the trade for you. That's just what I do. Now, why is R213 jumpered? That should not be. We're going to remove that. Don't know why in the world somebody would have done that, but goodbye jumper. Let's fix these joints here. Alright. Let's make sure that we have continuity. Somebody could have no continuity. That's why they did that. Nope, that's fine, and that's fine. Why this jumper is here, I can't say, so we're going to take this off of here. This is some wacky stuff going on here. Alright, do we have continuity on there? We do. So I have no idea why those jumpers were installed. Absolutely nothing. From here to here is good, here to here is good, here to here is good. No idea why that jumper was there. That's part of the socket connection. I'm going to take this shitty solder off of here and put new solder on, because this stuff just looks dull and gray and crappy. You know, and in all likelihood it'd work just fine, but I don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it. Powdered toast, man! Okay, that's better. The grounds are a bit iffy. They need to be jumpered together for strain relief. I may do that here. Yeah, I have to get. Oh no, I've got one right here. I was gonna say. I got a bag of zip ties I just got. Okay. So for a strain relief, we want to put this zip tie this on here so these wires move in unison, and it helps beef up the connection, and they don't bend back and forth and the wire breaks. So that's a lot better. So let's cut that off of there. Okay. Well, I think we are ready. Oh, nope, G2 wire, sorry. Ultimately, you would take the original connector off the old flyback and splice it onto here and plug it on the connector. But for testing purposes, we're going to just simply solder the wire to the back of the pin, which is right here. And then we'll, if this works and we get it running, and when we do the cap kit, I'll install this properly. But for now, we'll just go ahead and solder it to the back. Here we go, there we go. Okay, our G2 wire is installed. Now, we should be ready to test. I'm gonna see if I can zip tie this here first, though. Okay, that's good. There we go. Okay, let me grab a tube and see what we get. And here we are, ready for testing. I've got all the color pots on the neck set to center. I've got brightness and contrast all the way down. I got the flyback turned up slightly because these new flybacks come all the way turned down with the screen pot. So screen pot's turned up slightly. About a quarter turn, brightness contrast all the way down. Test pattern generator is ready to go. Let's go ahead and turn it on. There we go. We have anode, neck, yoke, ground, power, and the video. No remote board, so that would be 7. So yeah, let me turn off the light here, which I always forget to do. And let's see, does it power on? Does it work? What's gonna happen? 1, 2, 3. Dead. Because I'm an idiot. There we go. I always get overzealous and forget something. Oh, sorry. Okay, so take 2. 1, 2, 3. Well, that was odd. Didn't really hear any. I heard some energization, but not nearly what you normally expect. Is it working? I can hear it running. I can hear it running. Do we have anything off of the flyback? Let's turn up the flyback here. See what we get. Nothing. Why are we out of focus? Sorry. Flyback is all the way up. All the way down. All the way up. Flyback is all the way up. Let's turn it down slightly. We've got nothing. Okay, well. Contrast. Let's turn up our contrast and brightness just to see. It did energize slightly, but like maybe a quarter of what it normally would do. Yep, still nothing. We don't have any high voltage. Let's put them in the halfway point. Okay, brightness contrast halfway, fly back about 75%, and we got nothing. Do we have neck glow? Nope. We've got nothing. If I turn this off, yeah, I don't hear anything. I heard something when we first turned it on. Nothing's smoking. Well, it's possible that the voltage regulator is bad, which is why they took it out. You know, like I say, even though it tests okay, it may not be good. We don't have any high voltage. It's a new flyback. Well, time to take it out, do some more testing, some more troubleshooting, see if we can figure it out. Stand by. Okay, so we basically have no voltage, no high voltage. So I started with the flyback and began probing and testing all the points on the various pads to all the points to where they go on the chassis. And if we check this out, if we go here to here, good, here to here, good, here to here, good. This is our ground plane. Nothing has, this is no connection. This goes to here, this goes to here, this goes to there, and to this. This goes to here. Oh no, I'm sorry, it goes up to here. There we go. So that one's good. So now if we go to this one, it should bring to here. It does. It should bring to here. It does not. This is nothing. From there to here is nothing. From here to here is nothing. And it's not this pad, because if I go here, we got continuity. If I go here, nothing. You can see, it's a straight shot. Continuity there, nothing here, nothing. So that's our H-coil. So if this is not our problem, it's definitely a problem. Got nothing. So we're gonna have to get rid of all of this. Great big glob of greasy, grimy gopher guts thing going on here. And see, oh, there we go. Ta-da! Look at this. We have one broken trace. Well, that's not going to do anything. Look at that. Now it's gone. I just broke it off. So, I mean, this is not something you would normally check. You assume that this is all good. So I got to expose that. That definitely could cause our problem that we are experiencing. I hope it didn't damage something by having that, basically having the horizontal coil out of circuit. I don't think I'm going to be able to jumper this. Oh, he says as he jumpers it. I'd like to be able to jumper it. Hey, there we go. Can you even see what I'm doing there? There we go. Sorry about that. I zoom in too far all the time. Sorry. But there you go. Now, ta-da! Okay, let's get it hooked up. Try it again. Okay, take 3. Test pattern generator is on. Stay in there, you rascal. I gotta reposition this so my... There we go, stay in there. Alright. Okay, again, let's test pattern generator is on. We got anode, neck, yoke is hooked up, ground, power, video, no remote board. So I think we're ready. Take number 3. 1, 2. Actually, you know what? I wanted to say I forgot. I do this all the time. I think with that horizontal coil being out of circuit, I think it was probably going into shutdown is why it wasn't doing anything. So if it does turn on now, I think that's probably was our problem. So let's try again here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that is promising. Good sound. Hey, look. Yes, okay. Let's turn it off. That was our problem. Okay, so now let's do this again. Contrast all the way, let's see, down, brightness, down. And we'll turn this back to roughly 1/4. Let's turn this. Actually, no, we could probably leave it where it was at. Let's go right there with it. And let's turn it back on. Okay. And still way too bright. Is that backwards? Is this backwards? It's backwards, stupid piece of junk. Yeah, they go the other way. Okay, so brightness contrast all the way down. There we go. And that's what we get. Well, so let's do focus here. If I'm going to be able to. Hey, there we go. Looks good. Flyback is way too high, so let's turn this down till we lose our raster lines right about there. All right, supplement with brightness and contrast. Brightness needs to be about there. Contrast, we'll put roughly there. And hey, look at that. We got to hit focus again one more time. Right there. Beautimous. Contrast may be a bit too high. We'll find out on the next page. Let me get the tripod set up. That way we can see what's going on here. Well, we can adjust it better without me doing the hand mode. So here we go. Let's get on the tripod for the ease of adjusting here. All right, so let's adjust H position. Okay, roughly there. Vertical size, roughly there. Vertical position. Oh, it just shut off on me. Why did it do that? Why did it do that? Turn back on, little guy. Turn back on. Okay, there we go. I have a bad connection on my power. You know, those power wires, there's no connector. They were just raw wires I have shoved in a connector, so I must have disturbed it a bit. Okay, vertical position we were adjusting. Okay, so we got that. I think that's pretty good. Can we adjust our H size? Is the last thing we want to try and adjust here. Yep. Fantastic. Look at that. Right there. Well, there you have it, ladies and gents. Working K7000. Beautiful RGB. Well, that's mostly the tube. Lots of burn-in, but yep. And I think we are good to go. So it doesn't need caps. I mean, those caps are some type of off-brand. But I think after looking at this and seeing how good it looks and how perfect it is, I'm going to turn this off, back on. I don't think it needs caps. Even though those are an off-brand, there's no reason to do a cap kit because it looks and works perfectly. So I think I'm going to avoid that. There's no real reason to. I'll get with the owner and see if he wants me to. If he wants me to, I will. But as you can see, it doesn't really need caps. So yeah, I think all this thing needed was a new flyback, and a lot of the problems we had were self-induced by the original owner. So we had a bad pot, we had a bad flyback, we had a bunch of jumpers on the neck board, don't know what those were about. We had some damage to the traces on the main board for the voltage regulator and R10, 101 was it? I forget. We were missing R96. Yeah, so all kinds of problems. I think all that was pretty much self-induced by the owner. But I'll let this run for a number of hours like I always do, and we'll call it a success. If the owner wants me to put a cap kit in, I will do that. But as you can see, I don't think it needs one, and we don't have any linearity problems, so I don't understand why the 50-60 hertz pot was like it was. I can't say. I need to get the G2 wire hooked up correctly with the correct connector, not soldered to the back of the board, all that jazz. So yeah, another one successfully resurrected. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and stay tuned. Lots more to do, and we'll see you next time.